Have you ever looked at home prices in America and thought, there is absolutely no way someone with only $1,000 can ever buy land or a home? Because what if I told you that thousands of people are quietly using strategies most Americans never hear about to get into real estate with less money than the cost of a new phone? And no, this is not some fake internet fantasy millionaire trick or buy a mansion for pocket change scam. In fact, some of the smartest beginner investors are doing the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing. And if you stay until the end of this video, you'll discover why a small amount of money, sometimes even as low as $1,000, can open the door to land ownership, creative financing, and real estate opportunities that most people completely ignore. But here's the catch. One mistake could cost you everything, and most beginners make it without even realizing it. So before you assume buying land or a home with $1,000 is impossible, watch this carefully because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you think about real estate forever. First, we need to destroy the biggest myth in American real estate, that you need a massive down payment to get started. Most people think buying a home means saving $50,000, getting perfect credit, and competing in bidding wars. But that mindset is exactly why so many people never even try. The truth is, when people hear buying a home, they imagine walking into a perfect suburban house with a white fence and a huge mortgage approval from a bank. But smart buyers understand there are multiple ways into the market, and many of them don't start with a traditional house at all. Sometimes they start with land, sometimes they use seller financing, sometimes they partner with others, sometimes they target low-cost rural markets where prices sound unbelievable compared to expensive cities like Los Angeles or New York. Let's start with land, because this surprises almost everyone. Across America, there are rural areas where vacant land can cost a few hundred to a few $1,000s, depending on location, zoning, taxes, and demand. Now, before you imagine beachfront property in Miami for $1,000, calm down, that's not reality. But in some counties across states like Arizona, New Mexico, Arkansas, or parts of the Midwest, low-cost land exists because demand is lower and development is slower. Some people buy small plots as long-term investments, while others buy land with the intention of eventually placing a mobile home, tiny house, or future development on it. But here's where most people fail. They buy without research. A cheap property means nothing if you can't legally build on it, if it lacks road access, or if unpaid taxes become your problem. This is why the smartest beginner investors spend more time researching than buying. They check zoning, county records, utilities, road access, flood risks, and property taxes before spending even a dollar. And trust me, this one habit separates successful buyers from people who regret their purchase. But let's talk about homes, because that's what most of you clicked for. Can someone really buy a home with just $1,000? The honest answer is yes, but not always in the way people imagine. You see, many first-time home buyers don't actually pay huge down payments. Some loan programs allow extremely low upfront costs depending on income, location, credit, and eligibility. In certain cases, buyers qualify for assistance programs, grants, low down payment loans, or negotiated seller credits that reduce out-of-pocket expenses dramatically. That means your total cash needed to close can sometimes be surprisingly low. But here's the truth nobody on social media likes to explain. Low upfront cost does not mean free house. Monthly payments, taxes, insurance, repairs, and financial stability still matter. Real estate rewards preparation, not desperation. Another overlooked strategy is seller financing, and this is where things get interesting. Imagine finding a property owner who doesn't want the hassle of banks and agrees to let you pay over time directly to them. Instead of traditional financing, the seller becomes the lender. In some cases, buyers negotiate small upfront payments and affordable monthly terms. Now, is this easy? No. Does every seller agree? Absolutely not. But when people say you can buy real estate with little money, this is one of the hidden methods they're talking about. Negotiation suddenly becomes more important than cash. And if you're wondering why more people don't do this, the answer is simple. Most people never even ask. They assume the answer is no before the conversation begins. But there's another powerful strategy beginners overlook: partnerships. One person has money, another person has time, research skills, or management ability. Together, they split risk and opportunity. Real estate has always been full of partnerships because very few successful investors do everything alone. Even experienced investors sometimes team up to reduce financial pressure and increase buying power. Of course, partnerships require trust, written agreements, and clear expectations because mixing money with confusion creates disaster fast. But if done correctly, this strategy allows people with limited cash to enter deals that would otherwise seem impossible. Now, here comes the part most YouTubers skip: the dangers, because yes, there are risks, and ignoring them could turn your dream into a nightmare. Cheap homes and land often come with hidden problems. Maybe the house needs expensive repairs. Maybe the neighborhood struggles with declining demand. Maybe the taxes are high. Maybe title issues exist. Maybe the property sits in a flood zone. Maybe there are legal restrictions you didn't know about. And sometimes the cheapest deal becomes the most expensive mistake. That's why serious buyers always inspect, research, verify ownership, and understand long-term costs before getting emotionally attached. A cheap entry price should never trick you into ignoring expensive future consequences. Here's another truth most people avoid: buying a home for $1,000 won't instantly make you rich. Social media loves fantasy stories about overnight wealth, but real estate is often slow, boring, strategic, and patient. Wealth usually grows through appreciation, smart buying, rental income, or long-term ownership, not magic. The people winning in real estate usually think years ahead, not days ahead. They ask smart questions, they plan for setbacks, they save money consistently, and they stay disciplined even when everyone else gives up. But now you're probably wondering, where would someone even begin? Step 1 is research. Learn your target market, compare low-cost areas, understand taxes and zoning. Step 2 is building financial readiness. Even if you only have $1,000 today, improving credit, reducing debt, and saving consistently creates options tomorrow. Step 3 is networking. Talk to agents, local investors, community groups, or homeowners who may know about opportunities that never appear online. Step 4 is patience, because rushing into a bad deal simply because it looks cheap is one of the fastest ways to lose money. And here's something fascinating. While many people sit around waiting for perfect conditions, smart buyers quietly learn the game before they ever spend money. They study markets, watch listings, understand financing, and prepare themselves mentally so when opportunity appears, they are ready instead of confused. Preparation often matters more than money. Think about it like this: if two people each have $1,000, but one understands negotiation, financing, market research, and risk, while the other only scrolls social media hoping for shortcuts, who do you think wins in 5 years? Real estate isn't just about money, it's about information, and information changes outcomes. Now I want you to imagine something. 5 years from now, will you still be saying homes are too expensive, maybe someday, or will you be the person who started learning when everyone else said it was impossible? Because history shows something interesting. People who move early, learn consistently, and think creatively often find opportunities others miss. Maybe it starts with land, maybe it starts with a tiny investment, maybe it starts with understanding financing. But the biggest mistake is assuming you can never begin simply because you're not rich. The reality is that every investor starts somewhere, every homeowner starts somewhere, and sometimes the first step looks much smaller than people imagine. So if you've ever believed buying land or a home with only $1,000 was impossible, maybe the better question isn't can it be done, but am I willing to learn how people are actually doing it? Because the biggest opportunity in real estate might not be the property itself, it might be changing the mindset that told you ownership was out of reach in the first place.